Morning, welcome back. Today we're in the honey house extracting some honey. We got 12 supers yesterday. It's too much moving around to really record everything and show you everything that's going on, but we got 12 supers in here today and we're going to show you the extraction process. We got 2 on the cart. I keep lift carts to lift it up because I'm old and lazy and don't want to bend over. So we're gonna check out the process and hopefully get to a jar of really clear early spring honey, but we'll see what happens. If you haven't subscribed already, I'd appreciate you doing so, and we'll be back in just a minute. All right, first step to extracting. This one don't have many caps on it, but the first step to extracting is to get the caps off. I like to get my comb even with my frames. So when I put it back on there and they draw it out again, I don't have a thick frame next to a thin frame. So I like it all even, like so. All this honey drains down in the bottom of this tank into that pan, and drains out. You get 80% of it out just by letting it sit there and drain. And then that wax we make into wax bars and sell those. Sell beeswax bars. There's one with a few caps on it. Sometimes you got to turn your knife a little bit, even with the 9 frames in there. Sometimes they'll be shy of reaching the outside where that knife will catch them good. Turn that up just a little bit. The knife gets really super hot and then the honey cools it down, so you got to kind of go by how fast you're going as to how high to turn the heat up on the knife if you've got an adjustable knife. Try not to tear the comb up any more than you have to. Hopefully it just leaves a good seal. These will just fill back up. If you start going too fast, it'll push them up, push your cells over and tear up the comb real bad. I would be on that other post, but I think y'all can see it better here. So this is all your top, your highest quality beeswax that you'll get is from cappings. These will make a really nice wax. You can melt down other stuff, melt down the comb and get wax off of that too, but it won't be as high quality as what this is right here. All right, got one more frame to go on these mediums. And then we'll start on the shallows. And the extractor holds 18 frames, so we'll do every other one. We'll do a medium frame and then a shallow, and a medium frame and then a shallow. And hopefully it keeps it balanced. we'll see. Step back on this one. Everybody's always wanting to do this the fastest way possible. Which is fine, but you know, I've got more time than money, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I can go ahead and take my time. I'll turn this knife down to low. You can see where it's starting to burn the honey a little bit, but we'll turn that down to low, and there's plenty of time to get this job done. Even if it took me a long time, it'd be a week or 2 weeks or whatever. And, you know, that still ain't bad. Use equipment 2 weeks out of the whole year. All right, there's our extractor. Like I said, we're gonna go every other spot with these deep frames. All right, there's 9 frames in the extractor. And there's our wax we've got so far, that's draining already. And now we gotta go down there and get that bottom one. Uncap them, and then we'll fill in the spaces, and then we'll fire it up. All right, we got all of our frames loaded in the extractor. Got all of our beeswax caps cut off. Looking good. Now we're ready to turn this thing on. I'll turn the cap. This is a Hilco 18 frame extractor. Usually we start out around 20 or 25 and it doesn't jump too bad. If it's off balance at all, it'll start jumping around acting crazy. You can see it, hopefully. Yeah, you can see it throwing the honey out up against the sides. So we're running 25 for a little bit, and then we'll move it, kick it on up. It goes up to 50. We just don't want it bouncing around. Getting a little bit of bounce there at 29. All right, we're gonna let it go for a minute. All right, we got our extractor turned all the way up now. We went up gradually a little bit at a time. We've got just about all of our honey out. You can sit there in the bottom. Breezy coming on. You can see the honey there in the bottom, so now we're going to start letting it out through a gate down here. See what we got. The first of 2025 spring honey. And it's clear like I thought. Very clear. We go through a double screen. That screen on top is a coarse screen. It slips out of that bottom one. That bottom one is a fine screen and goes down into the bucket, and then we'll go through a nylon cloth over here just to get the fine grit out, and we'll set our bucket there in that bucket holder. Just a holding tank. Both these tanks are just holding tanks, and then after we get done with that, I've already got the heated bottling tank warming up. It's got water in it. There's our water level on it. And you can see water down there. And it's already up to 100 degrees. So we'll get ready to start bottling. We'll put our honey in here. And then we've got it's called a no drip valve, but I call it a one drip valve because you will get a drip occasionally, but not very often. See the honey down there in the bottom of the bucket. Really light spring honey. Looking good. All right, I got about all I want in this bucket. Let's see from the side. I don't want it getting up to the bottom of my screen. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it off where it's at. I don't want it getting up to the bottom of my screen, and I don't want it any heavier than it has to be because I got to lift it up and put it in that holding tank. And once again, I'm lazy and don't want to work too hard. So we'll let all that drain out of the screen, drain into the bucket. It should put us up right to the bottom. And in the meantime, we can go ahead and start uncapping some more frames. This bucket's full. We got the next batch in the extractor. This is as full as I want it. It's a good light honey. So what we do now is this is still dripping a little bit, so we just rub that off on the bottom of the bucket and put it on a new bucket. And then we take that bucket here, we're just going to pick it up. Just going to pick it up and dump it through here. Alright, our nice light colored spring honey is now going into our storage tank. Don't ask me how I know this, but always make sure the valve is completely closed. And then the bucket holders work really good for holding buckets, believe it or not. So we'll let that sit there and drain. This is our frames. Second batch, we'll go ahead and open that up now. I don't know, my extractor slowed down. I think it might have got too full of honey in there. I don't know what happened to it. But you got to be careful when you're, if you're just getting started, because these screens and stuff will clog up pretty quick and they'll overflow. Overflowing is a is a major problem. Don't ask me how I know that either. There you can see it maybe in the bottom of the bucket starting to come out the bottom of the screen. You got to kind of regulate your flow a little bit too so you don't overrun that one. Let that drain a little bit and then we'll see if our extractor turns a little faster. Get pretty full down there, you see it in the center. I think it was kind of catching the bottom of our basket, our turning basket. Slowing it down a little bit. We got the next batch in. This honey's so thick I'm having trouble getting the extractor up to speed. I took it up 42 a while ago and it about bounced off the door down the driveway. But as more honey comes out, they slowly increase the speed. It's just really thick honey. Yes. That's what it does. So we know it was alright at 40, so we're going to go back up to 40 and leave it there for a little while. Alright, we've washed. They get dirty and then they won't flow, so we've already washed that once, and then it's so thick it's having trouble going through the nylon cloth too. But I think there's enough in this tank that we can get a bucket and go ahead and put in our heated bottling tank and bottle a jar is the plan. So that's it's not really filtered honey, but it did go through a nylon cloth. It just takes the grit out. You can bottle it after going through the double screen over there, but you have a little bit of grit. And when I eat honey, I like this texture or the smoothness of it. I don't want any grit in my honey, although it is probably a little better for you, but it's good for you anyway, regardless. So this is the way I prefer it. The only thing it's got in it right now, it really needs to set in the holding tank for a little while to get the air. You can see the air bubbles in it. It's just got a little bit of air in it. And the only thing that'll do, because we're in a hurry to bottle a jar, is you'll have some air bubbles in the top of your jar. But that's all. But once we let it sit a little bit, all the air bubbles will rise to the top, and there should be no air bubbles in it at all once we let it sit a little bit. So we're going to let this bucket fill up, and then we're going to dump it in our bottling tank and go ahead and get us a bottle of honey out and see what it looks like. All right, we got a bucket of clean honey. That's out of our holding tank. So we're just gonna bring it over here and very carefully pour it into our heated bottling tank. Make sure it's clean. And in it goes. So we got good clean honey. The only thing, it's not really wrong with it, but it's just got a little air in it. Nothing a little sitting time won't take care of. So we'll let it set between the bottling tank and the holding tank over there. it'll set and the air bubbles rise to the top, and when we bottle out of the bottom, it'll be perfectly um, perfect honey. Won't be any air in it, no air bubbles at the top of our jar. This is the first jar of 2025 Honey Ridge Farm honey. Very, very light. Like it. Very light and very thick. Got some air bubbles in it, but that's okay. It'll go away over time. Very nice. $20.25 honey. All right, I appreciate you watching. That'll do it for our honey house extraction today. First one in 2025. I'm excited to get this out of the comb and into the jars. And I've already, like I said, I've already got demand for just about all of it. It won't last between church and people that's been knocking the door down trying to get it. It won't last very long. So, but that's a kind of a quick tour of how we do things here. We can extract a lot of honey. You know, I knew a guy when I started. I watched a lot of older guys that had 20 plus years experience, and there was one guy named Les, and he was a kind of a frail old man. I mean, he had to be in his 90s, and he extracted honey from 100 hives with a 2-frame hand crank extractor. And he said it just takes a little longer, but you still, you know, even with our 2-frame hand crank extractor, I could extract it all in about a week. With Dad usually helped me, so it don't take too long. You don't have to have all the expensive equipment. It's all expensive to one extent or another, especially if you're just starting out and just getting into it. But this is the way we'll keep it for a while. Like I say, we're trying to get up to 100 hives, and hopefully we can, and we'll pretty much go with what we got as far as equipment, and make it work. So I appreciate you watching the video. God bless y'all, and I'll see you on the next one.